Good morning, colleagues. Today we are going to solve exercise 310 from the Sadiku Electrical Circupa Fundamentals book. Well, the first thing we are going to do is a visual analysis of where the currents are located in the colon, and then later we are going to replace it. I observe that the 4 ampere current comes here, and from here it has to take its path to that direction with less resistance, as we can see here that there is already a dependent current source that already tells us that it goes to the right here. Therefore, here I indicate that the other current comes this way because there is no voltage source that prevents it. Well, right now I'll give the clients a name. Now at this point the current reaches this point and has to find its way somewhere. I say that one part comes here, one part is current, and the other comes this way. So, it comes up here, it will continue its path up here, and it will reach the same node that we were joining at the beginning. Now, if I name this stream, I think this is the correct one. I1, we each give the names to Law 2 and this Law 3. This 43 is the same one that comes here. Okay, now, what? We need to determine the zero ISO current that comes from here, applying. So I'm going to give it names. Here I'm going to call it B1, B2 and B3. So I say first in node 1. How? To look at the SK, make the current and sealing law. All the currents that enter it have to leave the same. Perhaps. So if I put this point, I see that the current coming into the I3. No, there are no more currents that enter here, so it is impossible to equal those that leave. I have the I sub 0 plus the 4 amperes that this current source has. Well, now the current in 3, the current and 3 that comes from here, because it has to be replaced by its equivalent in voltage and resistance. I believe that 43 has this direction. I assume that attention B3 is greater than attention B1. So I see that B3 is greater than B1, yes? About 1-on-1 resist. The correct resistance is equal to current. That's current E3. It's going to be equal to an I0, which is this, which this is going to be equal to, which is B1 over 8 ohms plus the 4 amperes. Now, what do I explain? I'm going to separate this division. I'm going to say that P3 over 1 minus B1 over 1 is equal to B1 over 8 plus 4. It's going to pass this to the other side like, vacure P3, yes, plus divided by 1, vacate the same, minus B1 over 8. This is equal to 4. Now, if I trade less, well, before doing this trade I'm going to go for 8. To eliminate this denominator I have to mark 8B3 minus 8B1. But since the pressure is easier for me, minus P1 equals 32. Negative 8 minus 1 gives negative 9(1) plus 8B3 with the 32. This is going to be my first equation. Good. Now what we are going to do is for the minors that are here and analyze the law of so the currents that enter node 2, I'm going to put here in node 2. I'm going to throw this one out. Of 4 amperes, 4 amperes is going to be equal to the porfinity 1 plus 2 times the I sub 0. Go down a little more. So, 4 amperes is equal to the I1, but the I1 is the voltage 2 over 2 plus 2 times the E at 0, but the E at 0 is the current that comes over here, which is equal to B1 over 8. Okay, so let's chop something like P2 over 2 plus P1 over 4. We are going to discuss the entire equation in 4, and it will stick with me. Now in node 3, in node 3, which is the one at this point, I obtain that the current that enters is the dependent current source, which is 2I sub 0, and no more enters, and those that leave will be the I2 more I3. But the I sub 0, the current that comes from here, so 2 times voltage 1 over 8 equal to the I2, which is going to be B3 over 4. It has 42 plus law 3, but law 3, B3, well, B1 now. Let's apply here now. Here I have that here I have B1 over 4 is equal to B3, B4 plus B3 minus B1. Okay. All this divided into 1 is the same. Okay. Now I'm going to put minus B1. This, minus B1 over 4. I'm going to. I pass this to the other side equal. Plus B3 over 40. Pass this to the other side the same, and I'll organize them. It's going to be equal to 0. Now, minus 1 minus a quarter. This is going to be minus 5 quarter of B1 and 1 plus a quarter. This is going to be 5 quarters dB3. All of this is going to be equal to 0. Well, I'm going to multiply it by negative 4. Either well or by 4, it doesn't matter. Well, I multiply by minus 4 everything. This will be like 5p1 minus by minus 4. We can multiply it by 4 only. But say multiplied by minus 4 to see this first value in positive. Nothing happens if it is modified by 4 minus 5b3 equals 0. This is my third equation. Now, I'm going to rewrite the equations. Let us remind you that the first is, what is that, Proca? The first is negative 9b1 plus 8b3 equals 32. The second is b1 plus 2b2 equals 16. And the third is 5b1 minus 5b3 equals 3 portions with 3 unknowns. The first is negative 9b1 plus 0 plus 8b3 equals 32. Let's note that the first one does not have a variable b2, so we leave it as it is. The second is b1 plus 2b 2 plus 0. It has no variable b3 equal to 16, and the last is 5b1 plus 0 minus 5 b3. The solution method of this matrix can be any Gauss-Jordan, Gaussianal, substitution. You equalize in reduction. or simply put it in the calculator and it will give you the results. All these types of sessions are or less known with craft. Later when we do the tutorials, you will realize that, believe me, it is production. But regardless of the method you use, I am going to use MATLAB. Here I have it open and I'm going to solve these equations using MATLAB, and I'll show you how. The first thing I'm going to do is put clear. This tool will eliminate the variables that are recorded here in the for space. And then I'm going to turn on CBC. That's something I do out of practice. So, I trusted you. I delete the variables that are in workspace. How do I delete what is in the Windows command? Now, first I'm going to create a matrix. A matrix called I. Open key and I start entering the values of this first fragment of the matrix, which is -9, 0 and 8. All of this remains this through a space. -9. Single space. 0, single space and the -9 is what remains in the variable b1. 0 to variable 2 and 8, to variable b3. Then, semicolon, and I record the next one, which would be 1, 2 and 0. One, space, 2 space 0 comma and I'm still 5 0 minus 5. Okay, I'm going to save, and I'm going to give it here, where it says error. Let me stay in the workspace, which would save it. If I give it here I get the internal matrix. -908. -908. 1 2 0. 1, 2, 0, and 5, 0, -5, 0, -5. Good. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to save another variable, and that's going to contain the results. That is, 32, 16 automatically. Well, now to solve it I put here solution to Control plus B. I save. I give him the command. The values change. It says that B1 is worth -32 volts, B2 is worth 24 and B3 is worth -32. As well. I come back here and write them down. P1 is worth -32 volts. B2 is equal to 24 and B3 is equal to -32 times 3. Now, in this second you ask me 40. 40 is B1 over 8. 40 is